And let me introduce our next speaker from the University of Washington, Professor Wei Kai. Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah, hello.
Would you like to share your presentation?
Yeah, sure. Let me see.
Okay, I see it.
Okay, so you can see now, right?
Yeah, please take the floor.
1 minute. So you can see the whole screen. Okay. Hello everybody. It's great to have this opportunity here to share our research. And since the theme of the conference is about the post-conflict rebuild, and many crypto researchers believe that the decentralized community might offer innovative pathways to post-conflict digital reconstructions. So I would like to take this opportunity to share some of our preliminary research in decentralized communities. So here's my outline. First of all, I'd like to share decentralized and centralized developer-driven communities in managing conflicts triggered by the Russia-Ukraine crisis. And second, I would like to examine the social capital dynamics in the decentralized NFT communities. And last, I'd like to introduce our recent work in airdrop hunters in decentralized community. So the first one is our previous work about a comparative analysis of centralized and decentralized developer autonomous organizations managing conflicts in discussing the external crisis. This is the work we have been doing 3 years ago, and it was published in IEEE Transaction on Computational Social Systems. So, well, this work is triggered by the dynamics of the developer communities. We know that we have lots of developer communities online, and they strive to collaborations and discussions. However, in 2022, the world changed a lot of things, right? And when geopolitical events split the society into different camps, the online developers community face heated debates about whether to restrict access, donate funds, or take political stances. And previous research always focused on internal conflicts like code disagreement or workflow disputes. And based on this event, we asked ourselves a very important question. How do a community with fundamentally different governance structures manage the conflicts caused by massive external shocks? So to study this, we select two prominent communities. The first one is GitHub. Everybody knows about GitHub, right? It represents the centralized model. So there's a staff, has a ultimate authority to modify the contents, log the discussions, and make final decisions. So the government will exhibit a clear hierarchical structure to control the system. In contrast, Aave operates in a decentralized autonomous organization. So there's no single authority can override a community consensus. Instead, decisions will merge through blockchain-based voting, while the token holders will collectively determine the outcomes. So the structural differences provides the perfect natural experiments for understanding how governance models will affect the conflict resolution. So this is a thread in the crisis discussions. Okay, so for GitHub, and the initial discussion is about half day after the military action, and the topic will be called to cut the Russia from the GitHub due to the Ukraine invasion. And the community had lots of response, different opinions, and the process will be like the user or message on probation was selected as the best answer, and the GitHub manager canceled the best answer, and the official statement by GitHub staff and log the discussions. This is how the GitHub solved the problem. Well, the Aave, okay, there was an initial discussion as well, okay, regarding the topic, the proposal for donations for from the treasury. Well, there are a lot of community responses as well. Okay, support will call for the neutrality of the Aave, and the resolution will be processed like there will be a snapshot of voting created on February 27th, and then there will be a voting process. And on the other day, the day after, they will have an announcement of result and approval withdrawal, and eventually it will be closed in 10 days. So to analyze this case, we'll collect 6 months of discussions data spanning the crisis period. And our mixed method approach will combine computational analysis with qualitative observations. So as you can see here in GitHub, we collect all the data with natural language from discussion forums. And for Aave, we have Discord channels data, we have government forum data, and we also have voting analysis that we try to collect the voter numbers and results of the proposal. So, well, we have lots of stuff, but today, due to time limitation, we only discussed the most important discoveries. Well, actually, both the communities, the GitHub and Aave, experienced initial task conflicts about what action to take. And however, the GitHub centralized approach triggered conflict transformations. When the staff started to ban the discussions without community consensus, members' frustrations manifested as a effective conflict characterized by personal attacks, identity-based arguments. So we do actually sentiment analysis based on the data, and it confirms the pattern. It shows increased negative and subjective personal the sentiments on GitHub. For example, like the Russians face accusations that they personally bore responsibilities for government actions. An argument devolved into ethnic stereotypings. In contrast, the Aave evolved this transformation entirely. Relative, objective, rational discourse persists throughout the whole process. So the voting mechanism channeled disagreement into structured decision making rather than interpersonal arguments. And at the same time, I'd like to talk about the how the blockchain make the DAO management conflicts better. Um, Blockchain technology actually provides two critical functionalities that Web2 platform cannot replicate. The first one, the cryptocurrency, directly align with the government participations with personal financial interest. GitHub has something like reputations and badge and something else, but there's no direct incentive for the members. Our analysis shows that the execute proposal in Aave will actually increase token price by approximate like $36 within 2 days. It's not just like abstract reputation or badges, it's immediate, tangible values. So every token holder benefits when good proposal pass, creating powerful incentives for thoughtful participations. And second, blockchain enable true, anonymities. So on GitHub, about 26 Polish users, 42 Russians, and 37 Ukrainians feel like compelled to reveal their geographic locations during the debates. And this disclosure triggered identity-based attacks. Aave, at the same time, on the other hand, the participants remain, pseudonymous blockchain addresses. So they just focus on argument merits rather than national origins. So these are something we discovered from our previous research. And triggered by this research, we decided to spend more efforts in understanding how decentralized community performs. And that brings in our recent presentations in ACM CSCW conference. It studies the decentralized Web3 NFT communities from a social capital perspective. I believe we are all familiar with Web2 platforms that related communities, but what happens when the community is built around decentralized ownership through NFTs and cryptocurrencies? And how does the social capital, a concept that relates to dimensions to measure the societal prosperities differs? And this is the core question we set out to answer. By doing this research, we hope that we can find the key, we said the secret, to boost the Web3 economics, and we're trying to create better economic systems for the Web3. So beyond everything, okay, I believe everybody knows about what's going on with NFTs. And a few years ago, NFT boom promised a decentralized future of user ownership. But I know we might think, right, NFTs, isn't that bubble over? And yes, if we look at the market price, it's dying now. Okay. However, we argue that beyond the market hype, the societal uh, potential of this technology hasn't disappeared. Most of our prior research on NFT focus on market speculations, especially last year we have experienced the hype of the meme coins and everything related to speculations. But very few researchers have asked a very important question. As a socio-technical phenomenon, what is the potential of these communities for collaborations, creativities, and broader societal prosperity? And that's our entry point to re-examine the whole phenomenon through the lens of the social capital. So to explore this systematically, we proposed two research questions. Okay, two research questions. The first one is, how is the social capital characterized in these communities on the 6 dimensions? So the 6th dimension is defined by the social capital theory, okay, from different aspects, for example, like network structures, collaborations, inclusions, communications, trust, and empowerment. So those research dimensions defines the social capital. So our question is that how the social capital characterized within the Web3 NFT communities. And we actually choose a very interesting system, a case called Mfers. It's a very popular community in Web3. It is the reason we choose it because it's a very perfect extreme case for research. It used a public domain license, CC0, and the founder even quit after release. So actually, it hands the entire project over to the community. It's pure decentralized. And due to the blockchain, a small part of the inverse and its derivative transactions could be repaid to the community treasury autonomously and benefit the potential creators. So this actually gives us a unique chance to observe how decentralized system ecosystems. And the second one is about how does the society capital empower individuals and collectives, and that is how we're going to derive our observation based on that. So what's the challenge of doing this? There are two challenges. Okay, the first one is the trust challenge: how to quantify trust levels in contextual, subjective conversations. And the second one is the inclusion challenges: how are we going to measure the global diversity from mass location data? Like, many creators online, they don't use real city names, the location names, and there might be unstructured addresses or some emojis with some specific meanings. So it's very difficult for us to collect those data. Most previous studies will actually use surveys, interviews, or expert panels. And unfortunately, they're not, quantitative methods. It's just qualitative ones. So for us, we hope that we can use data, but at the same time, those data are very difficult to be used because of the unstructured nature of the Web3. So to solve these problems, our methodology combines mature tools with our Delphi-based human large language model collaboration to systematically address our research questions. So as you can see from this figure, we actually analyze social media networks, um, the social media networks data, okay, and we also analyze the trading and creation networks. For trading and creation networks, it's relatively easier. We can actually use statistic analysis. Well, for social media, it will be complicated, right? Because there are lots of the natural language with unstructured informations. For example, like tweet clusters and also the locations from different users. So in this work, as I mentioned, we try to incorporate a Delphi-based human large language model collaboration. And what is that? Okay, so in this figure, we try to explain how you're going to do the work. We recruit a number of human experts. At the same time, we have a ChatGPT working with us. So those human experts will independently analyze a small sample of the data, for example, like summarizing the topics or scores for trust. And the GPT will do the same work. And we will have a human facilitator collect these outputs, and then we will have anonymize them and share them back to the groups. And this feedback and refinement loop will repeat until consensus is reached. And this process will effectively calibrate the large language model to the judgment of human experts. Once calibrated, we should deploy the large language model to analyze our entire database of nearly 2 million tweets and 200,000 blockchain transactions so that we are able to scale and provide relatively reliable results. So what do we find? Okay, first of all, the Mfers community structure is more decentralized. It's more like an open bazaar, right? Rather than a top-down cathedral. So this is something the first thing we got from the system. Okay, it's more decentralized, and there are actually a lot of diverse interactions with many-to-many communications predominantly. Okay, this is something very different from centralized Web2 communities. And also, it shows that the rich clubs, I would say the influential nodes, do not form exclusive connectivities among those rich club users. They tend to engage broadly across the network, enabling much healthier information flow. And our second finding is related to trust and inclusion. As I mentioned, we try to analyze the information, the geographic information behind the users. And how can we do that? We analyze the self-disclosed locations on their Twitter and on everything. And we show that there's a striking difference. So in the left-hand side, you can see the general disclosure participants for general tweets. And the general user discussing the Mfers, nearly half use they use cyber slangs for their location to protect their privacy. But in the right-hand side, okay, that is the core Mfers community. Those who use Mfers avatar or holding the Mfers NFT. The pattern flipped. Actually, over half choose to share their real-world region. So we interpret this counterintuitive act of self-disclosure as a strong signal of high trust and psychologically safety within the community. And finally, we find empowerment, but actually in a different ways of success. It's not about the market price. On the left-hand side, as you can see that the first figure here, we see a person's social connections have little to no correlation with their direct trading gains. This challenged the idea that the crypto communities are just getting rich quickly or just coming here for money. Instead, we discover a very interesting and thriving creative ecosystem supported by two key mechanisms. The first one is about the CC0 license. It's a form of copyright decentralization. It really unleashed an abundance of free derivative creations, as you can see from the figure in the middle. So there are lots of transaction networks, not only for the Mfers NFTs, but also with a lot of NFT token derivative NFTs. And second, the blockchain smart contract ensure that part of the royalties from these creation flow directly into the community treasure. This fund, as you can see from the right chart, continue to grow after the founder left. It enables the members to vote and fund new projects. So this mechanism creates a self-sustaining ecosystem and shifting the value generation from short-term speculation to long-term sustainable collaborations. So this leads to a deeper discussion. We can frame these findings using the theory of human activities. So first, much of our engagement in Web2 platforms can be seen as a labor. It's repetitive activities driven by necessities, or in this case, the profit of orientation. While the Mfers creative, trying to has an element of speculation that feels like labor, it truly potentializes as well. The CC0 and the blockchain-based royalty model empowers the work, the act of the creation and self-expressions, and as we can see from the diverse derivative of the ecosystem. And most importantly, the on-chain governance empowers the action, the ability for individuals to participate in collective decision-making and shape their future public life, something often missing in centralized system today. So that is something we have already done for the decentralized community. And also people believe that nowadays decentralized community is still in a very early stage and there are lots of problems to be solved. And recently we try to solve some problems that we encounter in the early stage of the project. We probably know that many projects will try to do airdrop in their starting phase so that they are able to increase the use base and try to decentralize their project with a decentralized community. But here comes the problem. Lots of people started to create fake identities to claim those decentralized attacks, decentralized airdrops, and we call them Sybil airdrop hunters because they technically using the Sybil nature of blockchain to get the benefit from airdrops, and they are actually making a harm to the whole ecosystem. So we have been doing this for a while as well. We try to analyze the behaviors of the airdrop hunters, and we try to build system to address the issue of airdrop hunters. So in the left-hand side, this is something we have done before. We use big data to analyze the pair swap, one of the most interesting decentralized exchange. So they actually have an airdrop before. So we try to analyze the patterns of the airdrop hunters with big data. And we realize that we can categorize them into different groups. We're able to identify their behaviors and how the airdrop hunters collect their benefits after the airdrops, and also find the behaviors after the airdrops. So this is something we published in KAI 2023. And in the right-hand side, there was another work based on observation on pair swap. We tried to build a system to identify the airdrop hunter patterns. So use GNN to analyze the data in Blur airdrop season 1. And based on the data we collect, including the NFT informations and also the airdrop address transactions and post airdrop activities, we try to figure out how we can build up a neural network, okay, to automatically identify those patterns in the following airdrop activities. So this is something we published last year in W 2024. So what we're doing now, well, a lot of people are actually asking me about the airdrop, how actually find the airdrop hunters, especially for those startups who would like to do airdrops. So this year, our main focus is to reach a consensus on the airdrop hunter standards. We're trying to find out what exactly it is airdrop hunters and how can we actually, define airdrop hunters with a numeric standards. And based on that, we started to accumulate those Sybil address on different systems, including the Ethereum and also the Solana and everything. And this is the purpose of this research is to accelerate the research in this area, because lots of people are trying to build out the system to prevent airdrop hunters, but unfortunately they don't have the data. So we're trying to accumulate data for the research. And also, we hope that it will also provide an industry reference for the potential airdrop hunters. So if you're interested in our projects, you can visit our website. We will have our progress posted there, and we also have links so that you're able to access our database. So thank you very much for listening. And actually, these works are completed by my former PhD student, Dr. Hongzhou Chen, and he's currently the lead of CKB Eco Fund, and he's also very interested in academic jobs, so he's open to work in academia. And this is my information, and we actually have a number of PhD student opening at the University of Washington, so in decentralized computing. So if anyone is interested or have good student to introduce, please let me know. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a great proposal for our audience as well. So there's a few minutes for the question. Please post it in the YouTube comment sections if you have any. In the meantime, I would like to ask you, with your work on identifying Sybils, what could you say about the KYC or like other proof of like personhood approaches? How do they compare, if they are suitable at all for somebody looking to do an airdrop?
Well, for example, now if you're using the Binance Alpha to claim airdrop, right? They can do KYC, but the problem is that means it's centralized, right? Binance itself is centralized. If a system is decentralized, then there's no centralized third party to do the KYC. That's the problem, and that is the problem of many decentralized communities, because we are not able to do KYC, right? Because everybody can generate a address by just creating a key. Yeah, and that brings a lot of problems in decentralized community. That's why many communities will try to use stake-based systems. So if you have the money, we treat you as a real person. Yeah.
And what do you think also over the situation where, say, new projects or protocols, in a way, they maybe want to stimulate Sybils because they want to, show more active users or traction or transactions. So in a way, they are creating these incentives for extortion.
Yeah, this is a very, very good question. Actually, I know that many projects, they're kind of like, they don't like airdrop hunters because they don't want to airdrop their tokens to those, Sybil attackers. But at the same time, they still want a lot of people to use their system, so that eventually they can use those data to prove to the centralized exchange, for example, like Binance, so that I have lots of use space. You should list my token on your exchange. So it's something very, very interesting. But I think it become a game. So the airdrop hunters, they try to pretend to be good users so they can claim the token, right? And for the decentralized chain, for the project, as I mentioned, there are two sides of the airdrop hunters, right? And for the centralized exchange, they need to identify who is the real user, because they don't want to list those tokens that have a lot of fake users. So it will be a battle among the three parties, and they all need to identify who is the real user. And so that's why we try to develop the skills, try to make definitions, develop skills, develop the database, so that everybody can use it as a reference. Yeah, so that they can help each other. Yeah, and they can also get benefit out of this research. Yeah.
Great. It would be nice to have a standard shared meaning about this topic in the industry. Well, if there are no other questions, deeply thank you for your presentation. Really interesting research, and thanks for joining us. Hope to meet you somewhere else.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.